Hello, Ram55 here, and I'm back with another installment on Race 07. Again, we're racing in the Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup. And today we'll be racing at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. This is a classic track set in the forest of Belgium, very close to the German border. It's the race where Dan Gurney, I believe, won his only race in the car that he developed, his Gurney Eagle. You can see it's fairly close to the German border there. Super fast track, and it's changed quite a bit over the years. Here's a view of the track as it appears today. It has that classic Eau Rouge turn, which is very fast, going uphill, sweeping right, and then back to the left. Here's an aerial view of the track today. And you can see how the track is incorporated into what it used to be, that huge track, very fast, very high speed. They've cut the length down quite a bit. And again, an overview to show you where the track used to be in pink, and in purple you can see where the track is as it exists today. The circuit's still long. It's 4.352 miles long. Since I race 30-mile races, we'll be doing 7 laps. AI strength for the time being remains at 100%. Here's my qualifying lap. I did 2 minutes 29 seconds. Good enough for second on the grid again. Here we are taking La Source, a very tight hairpin, first gear turn, heading up into Eau Rouge. And the thing about Eau Rouge, you can see it up there daunting in front of you. Hit that apex, and then I get off the gas, shift down into fifth. I think next time I race on this track, I'm going to raise the height of my car. You can see that it bottomed out there, throwing some sparks as I was going through Eau Rouge as I was pushed down into the track. Now into the Kemmel Straight, heading to Les Combes. Kind of reached the rev limiter there. Down into third gear, letting it roll through the turns here. I'm really paranoid about hitting the curbs in this game because it really throws my car off. Going through Melmandy, down into Rivage. Kind of just feathering the throttle here. You can't really do much there. You just got to let the car get through the turn. Into turn 11. Up into Pouchon. You can't change the gearing on these cars because these gearing is just a little bit off. I'd like to have a little higher gear in 5 there, so I didn't have to shift up into 6 and then immediately back into 5, but you can't adjust the gearing on these cars. Now we're up into, I'm not sure how to pronounce this, La Fagnes. Into turn 15. Third gear, right-hander out to the edge of the track, and then up into fourth, and then just getting on the throttle as early as you dare to get out to the rumble strips on the left there, in through Stavelot. Some sweeping turns here into Blachemont. Again, this is just a little bit of a lift down into fifth, get on the gas right away. Trying to get out close to those rumble strips on the right. Heading up into the chicane. Getting on the brakes nice and early, slow down, second gear. Again, these curbs are mammoth, and if I touch them, I'm paranoid that my car is just going to go around. And then getting on the gas, heading up to the start-finish line, and that completes my qualifying lap. So let's go racing. Grace McDonald in the red car on the left is on pole. She was the winner, I believe, of the second race of the season. And we're green flag. I'm trying to get a little bit better at my starts. Again, I think I'm spinning the tires up a little bit too much. You can see that Rick Berry in the 11 car got ahead of me there, and then we just touched there going through the chicane. Threw him out left. I apologize for that. There's really nothing else I could do. And here we are heading up the old pit straight with the pits on the right. In the old days, that pit wall wasn't there, and those guys were servicing the cars without a wall there as these Formula One cars and other cars were just ripping by, just feet away. It's pretty amazing how crazy they were back in the day. Down the Kemmel Straight for the first time in second place. Again, my car hits the rev limiter here, but you can't adjust the gearing in this car. Going down through the gears into Lacombe's. Closing in a little bit on McDonald. Heading downhill into the forest. Right up on our bumper now, sliding out to the outside of the track. Looks like we're in for a good battle today. Matt Moran is right on my bumper. So good battle ahead, good battle behind. And Matt Moran takes me on the outside there. Good clean move. Down into third. Again, light lift here. You don't want to go too wide through Blanchimont, which I did a little bit there. That slows you down. That track on the outside has a lot of marbles and gravel on it. You don't get good traction. Making sure I get woed down early enough to take the chicane. Heading back up to the start-finish line. That completes lap 1. Good battle. I'm now in third place, losing a little bit of ground to the first two cars. Behind me right now is Rick Berry, the car I bumped in the first turn. And again, I just can't express how daunting to see that Eau Rouge turn in front of you is. It's very similar, I guess, to the corkscrew in Laguna Seca in reverse, where Laguna Seca falls away like you're dropping off a cliff. This one goes up. The thing about Laguna and the corkscrews, you don't see it. It's a blind curve. Whereas Eau Rouge, you see it all the way down that straightaway. You know it's coming, and you know you got to get it right. It's extremely high speed, and if you get it wrong, disaster will follow. Through the comb, making up a little bit of ground on Moran here. Again, my desire in the drive here is don't make any major mistakes, which I am prone to do. Keep the car on the track. Don't do anything foolish. Diving to the inside of Moran. And not able to make the pass stick. I was on the outside of the turn there, and with AI being what they are, I was afraid of being pushed wide onto the dirt and spinning, so I said discretion is the better part of valor. We will live to fight another day. Now driving to the inside of Pouchon, and I get ahead of Moran, make the pass stick. Back up into second, heading into Lathagnes. Just kind of working your way through these turns. You really can't get too aggressive. Third gear, let the car just kind of get through it. Into Stavelot, and in this one you're in fourth gear and getting on the throttle as early as you dare to get out onto those rumble strips, and then working your way up through the gears heading into Blanchimont. Good battle here on the third lap. Still in second place. Got a little bit of a gap now behind me to Moran. Heading into the chicane again. Again, those curbs are mammoth. And whenever my car touches it, you know, the AI goes over it without any problem. But whenever my car touches those curbs in the chicane, I'm out of control. And maybe it's because my car is set too low. Back into La Source, first gear. Another YouTube racer who's very prolific with his videos says he always aims for the wall when he makes that turn into La Source. And that seems to work pretty well for me too. Through the daunting Eau Rouge again on our fourth lap. Closing up on Grace McDonald here. Getting into her slipstream. 6th gear, I'm on the rev limiter again. Again, discretion's the better part of valor here. Side by side through Lacombe is probably not a really good idea, so I back out and let her have the turn. Real good battle here. Coming into Rivage again. All the battling I've been doing with McDonald has allowed Moran to catch up again from behind. So it's a good 3-car battle for the lead. Right on McDonald's bumper there. Hard on the brakes, letting it drift through in 3rd gear, letting the car float. Getting on the accelerator as quickly as possible here, heading into the turn 15. Looking in the rearview mirror, I can see there's quite a bit of position changes going on behind me. But I'm concentrating on McDonald, but not wanting to give up any position to Moran behind us. Whoa, I think I missed my braking point there. Went in way too deep. Went through the chicane, had to get back on the track. So even though we briefly passed for the lead, really overcooked the turn. McDonald gets back in front of us. Fortunately, Moran stays behind us too. Starting our 5th lap. Getting through Eau Rouge really well and getting a really good run on McDonald here. Moving to the left side. And making a clean pass for the lead. One thing I've noticed about some of these classic old tracks, like Spa, Monza, Silverstone, they were very fast-flowing tracks, and I think the cars back in the day, in the 50s and 60s, probably just didn't have really good components. They didn't have really excellent brakes. You know, I think the drivers today like a lot of technical tracks where they're setting up the cars and adjusting the brakes, which are phenomenal. Back in the day, they were smooth and flowing, high speed, and tracks like Spa, like I said, Monza, and Silverstone just didn't have a whole lot of braking points in them. I just don't think they had the technical abilities, the components to make them last for the entire race back in the day. So they were driving these bathtubs full of gasoline through these extremely high-speed tracks, bumper to bumper, wheel to wheel. And you got to remember, they didn't have a whole lot of Armco back in the day either. Safety was not a concern. There were hay bales on the side. There were houses on the side. There was people bringing their chairs out, putting them in within feet of the track, watching the race from their front yards. Unbelievably dangerous, but you know, we talk about the romantic period, and my favorite period was still the 60s and 70s of Formula One racing. How dangerous it was. But here we are out in the lead. It's still a good 3-way battle for the lead though. I'm out in front, McDonald still in 2nd, and Matt Moran still in 3rd, heading into the chicane to complete our 5th lap. Focusing on not making any mistakes. Drive a clean race and let the chips fall where they may. Entering the battle is George Ring in that camouflage number 30 car. Rick Berry still not far behind. pulling out a little bit of a lead on McDonald here, but that will ebb and flow. As I mentioned in my last video, the AI is not exactly the same on every lap. There's some variation, and they will drift back behind you quite a ways, and then they'll make it up on the next couple of laps, and that's just built into the game, which I like. Makes for an interesting challenge. Again, avoiding the curbs. There's still more speed in the track. I'm not really driving terribly aggressively, but enough to stay in the lead. If I need to dig a little bit deeper as I'm being challenged, we can do that. But the closer you are to the edge, the more likely you are to make a mistake. Moran's taking a look at McDonald behind us for second. Further back in the field, Andy Carter ran into a little bit of trouble. Let's take a look at what happened to him. Big gaggle of cars going through the chicane, and he cuts the inside of the chicane, hits another car, and gets bashed in the side. So, in spite of the fact he had pretty heavy impact, he was able to still continue. But you'll see him cut to the inside of the chicane, came up and hit actually George Ring, and then he got plowed into and turned on his side. But he was able to carry on in the race. So once I got into the lead, it was pretty much not making any mistakes. The real battle was for the podium, and we'll kind of focus on that in this portion of the video. Right now, Grace McDonald is still in second place. She's got a pretty good gap on Matt Moran in third, George Ring in fourth, Rick Berry in fifth. And that yellow and gray car is Cam Stearns in the number 22. Lois Fisher there is also in the battle. She had a good race last time out. I think she finished, what, second or third? She's also up in the mix for the podium. You can see those brakes glowing very hot as they mash on the brakes for these turns. Good battle in the ebb and flow. In the ebb and flow, you can see the sizable lead that Grace McDonald has. But watch what happens as this race unfolds. Good battle here for the third and final spot on the podium. Currently held by Moran, followed by Ring, followed by Stearns. Rick Berry's been passed. And what happened to Sarah Fisher? She's out of the battle now. I don't see her in the picture there. Through Blanchimont. Four-car battle for the final podium position, and George Ring makes his move on Moran, takes him on the inside going into the chicane. Excellent move, nice and clean. Cam Stearns runs a little bit wide, holding down the fifth position, followed by Berry. Starting the last lap. George Ring still pretty far behind McDonald in second. has a bit of a comfortable lead there to Matt Moran in fourth. Heading up the Kemmel Straight for the last time. McDonald gets through Melmandy, and Matt Moran dives to the inside. They're side by side. Heading into Melmandy, and Moran takes back the podium position, number 3. Ring falls to 4th. Stearns is right on his tail in 5th, and Barry has moved up in 6th. Through turn 15 into Stavolo. Through Blanchimont. They're slowly cutting into Grace McDonald's lead in second place. Matt Moran in third. George Ring in fourth. Cam Stearns in fifth, and Rick Barry in sixth. Really on the tail now of McDonald. I wonder if she's having a problem. They are right on her bumper. Through Blanchimont. Heading into the chicane for the final time. Matt Moran taking a look. George Ring goes to the outside. Moran side by side with McDonald through the final turn. Runs a little bit wide, and she takes the position. She doesn't get a good launch out of that final turn, and George Ring makes a lunge for the finish line. That was an incredible finish. Let's take another look at that. Unbelievable. Final turn after 7 laps on Spa. Grace McDonald, who had a pretty large lead. Here we see Moran taking a lunge up the inside of the first part of the chicane, through the second part, runs a little bit wide, clean pass, takes second place. But watch George Ring. Right at the finish line, pimps Grace McDonald to take the final podium. At the line, it was that close. Can you believe that? What an incredible finish. Now, Sarah Fisher was up in having another good race until this happened on the very last lap. Let's see what happened to Sarah. I think she was in 7th at the time, running another good, clean race. Back end gets a little bit loose, tapped, couldn't save it, and then all chaos unfolds, and she gets plugged a couple times by a few drivers. But that pretty much ended her race. Now, over to the left there, you can also see Andy Carter was involved in that race. That was his second incident here at Spa, and unfortunately he was not able to keep going after that incident. So here we are again, different view of the accident. She gets a little bit loose, tries to save it, locks up her tires, gets pegged by a car, and then all chaos breaks loose behind her. A lot of carnage, and you can see Andy Carter there at the top. He was involved. Looks like he got high-sided or had some damage that could not continue. What an exciting race. So here are the results and standings after the 6th race. I have to change that, actually. The podium cars are shown at the top of the page. The time of the race was 18 minutes 2.734 seconds, and then the distance behind in time for the rest of the field. Over on the right side of that previous screen, you could see the standings, and here's the standings, or the points, race by race, a spreadsheet that I've developed. So, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave comments. I do really want to hear from you guys, things that I can improve to make these more interesting videos for you guys. The next race is at Brands Hatch in Great Britain, and we'll see you there.